welcome all you at home. I know that there's a few of you that couldn't make it in this morning that are watching via the Zoom call, so we're just so glad that you're with us this morning. And look at this, all the lovely faces, William. We have quite a lovely group here that came this morning. Happy solstice. Happy Yuletide.
So hang on, time out. I read a really interesting quote, and I was just pondering, this life, my place in this life, and where we're at. The quote is, it's by a guy named Edward O. Olson. Are you ready for this? The real problem with humanity is the following. We have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and God-like technology.
Wow.
Think about that. We have Paleolithic emotions that have been with us since the beginning, medieval institutions, and God-like technology. And I've been pondering the winter solstice, for days because I've been anticipating this. And it used to be a big thing for us as a species, if we can start to think about ourselves as a species, especially because that's bigger than right or left, or Democrat or Republican, or nationalities, or orientations. We are a species on a planet careening through space. And we as a species went through eons of hunter-gatherers and thousands of years of agrarian civilizations, empires rising and falling. And then we hit the steam engine, the internal combustion engine, electricity, nuclear technology, and worldwide instantaneous communication in the space of a couple of generations. We live in significant times. And especially with social media, we as a species are like little kids that have been set free in a candy store, and we've eaten candy as much as we could possibly do, and now we're starting to get a headache, and we're craving a glass of water. And I believe that life is calling for us to develop etiquette and respect and remember who we are. And here we are right now on the winter solstice, and we're so busy we vaguely even notice it. Everyone in this room carries DNA that has been passed down from the Neolithic. We're carrying memories of our foremothers and forefathers in our DNA now. Let us take a moment and take a breath and realize the significance of this day. Because our forefathers and foremothers, when the winter solstice came and when they saw the stars pass across the sky and the moon and the sun and the seasons, they didn't look at that as though it was separate from themselves. In a lot of ways, we're more connected than ever, and studies have shown that we are lonelier than we've ever been before.
That's true.
We feel more disconnected and isolated than we ever have before. When we talk about the solstice today, I invite you not to see it as something that's happening out there, but know that you are a part of it. We are Earth made conscious. You are walking around as Earth made conscious. You are part of this Earth. When you look at the sun, you are part of that sun. You are part of the longest night of the year and the shortest day of the year and the turning of the tide and relationships and rhythms of our environment. When we talk about, remember that you're part of this. These are stories about us, and we are innately storytellers as a species. And today we want to share a story about this. And we want to talk about this and make this sacred, that we can remember we're part of this. We play a part and we matter.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. That is the most beautiful segue to come into the celebration of solstice, this beautiful time of Yule. When William and I were speaking about just how this talk today would unfold, we were both kind of bantering back and forth around the story of the goddess Isis from deep and ancient Egypt, and her beloved Osiris was their love together was a vision for all that kept their eyes upon these gods and goddesses. And at one point, Osiris had a brother who was angry, and he was jealous. And in a fit of rage and jealousy, he took the life of his brother. He actually put him into a what was the word?
Chest.
Thank you. Yes. Put him in a chest and floated him down the Nile. And then thought about it and went and got him. And when he got him, he cut him into many pieces and strewed him all over the land. When Isis got word that her beloved had been killed and that his body was hither, thither, and yon, she breathed in a divine feminine breath. She held it. And then she breathed out the divine masculine within her, which is to be discerning, to take action, to be in grace and in love, to express that out to the world, right? The breath in, feminine, the breath out, masculine, in all of us. And in that moment, she stood and she began to trek across the land and gathered up almost every single part of him. And then with a part that was missing, she found a stick. I won't tell you what part that was. But I think you know. And she put him back together. Guess what she did? He was dismembered all over the land, pieces everywhere. She gathered them all up and she remembered him. She remembered him, and for a very short time brought him back to life. And during that time, they conceived their beautiful son, Horus. And if you know about gods and goddesses, Horus is the bird-like god with a long beaked neck, and he's beautiful. And he took on his uncle, Set, and dethroned him, and took the place and stood in the radiance of his family lineage once again. And so, but as Osiris died, he went down deep into the dark, into the shadowy places. And what that showed us was life, death, life again. And now he is reigning over those shadowed places where we all have a piece of, right? That shadowy place is held in love and in care because we must move through the shadows to find the light. We must contrast the shadow to truly stand in the light and appreciate it even more. And that in this solstice time where the darkest night is tonight, we look forward to the first day where the sun begins to wax more gently, more and more. So that story brings us into the celebration of the dark and the light. So what I'd like for you to do, because William told me to, is please just sit quietly, close your eyes, and let's just take a quick journey together.
And can we drop the lights a touch?
That would be lovely. Thank you. We have arrived at a sacred threshold. Today we gather to honor the winter solstice, which is the longest night of the year. This is an ancient pause honored across cultures and across time. A moment when we turn inward together, when we listen more and we speak less. When we remember the darkness is not something to fear, but rather something that holds us. The dark is where life begins. It's where the truth softens and becomes honest. It's where the seed of light is protected until it is ready to rise. Today, we invite you to rest from striving. Set down the weight of the world, even briefly. Bring your whole self, your questions, your grief, your gratitude, your remembering, your longing into this circle. For nothing is too much here and nothing is unwelcomed. As we begin, may you feel supported by the stillness of this season. May you feel held in the darkness rather than rushed towards the light. May this time together awaken a quiet remembrance within you that even in the longest night, the turning has already begun. Welcome to this Yule. Thank you to the winter solstice. Welcome back to the dark, and welcome returning to the light. And so it is.
Yule marks the winter solstice, the longest night of the year, when the earth reaches her deepest stillness. This is the point in the cycle where light is at its lowest and darkness is fully arrived. In the natural world, growth pauses, the soil hardens, trees stand bare, much of life withdraws inward. This moment has been honored for thousands of years, not as something ominous, but as something sacred. The stillness is not empty. It is full. It is deliberate. It is powerful. Beneath the frozen ground, seeds are resting, holding all the information they need for what comes next. Yule reminds us that rest is not the opposite of growth. In fact, rest is part of growth. In a world that values constant movement, constant productivity, constant light, the winter solstice offers a different teaching. It asks us to stop, to listen, to recognize that there are seasons when the most important work is invisible. This is one of those seasons. At the solstice, something subtle but profound happens. Although this is the longest night of the year, it is also the turning point. From this moment forward, the light begins to return, slowly, quietly, almost imperceptibly at first. Nothing changes overnight. The days do not suddenly feel brighter. The cold does not immediately lift, and yet the direction is shifted. The promise has been made. Ancient cultures understood this deeply. They gathered not because the light was already strong, but because it was guaranteed. They celebrated not what they could see, but what they trusted was coming.
The solstice teaches us to honor beginnings that are too small to measure and yet too powerful to deny. It asks us, can you trust a change that you cannot yet feel? Can you honor a shift that has started beneath the surface of your life? Spiritually and emotionally, Yule invites us inward. It's a time of reflection, of honesty, and of quiet reckoning. Not the kind that demands answers, but the kind that allows truth to surface naturally. Darkness has a way of doing this. In the absence of distraction, we hear ourselves more clearly. In the slowing down, we feel what has been asking for attention all along. The long night creates space for grief, for gratitude, for remembering, for fatigue, and even for longing. This is not a season to fix or force. It is a season to simply bear witness to oneself and the world around them. What has this year been for you, really, when you think about it? It's time to take a little inventory about all the breakthroughs and the gratitudes that we have in this now moment for 2025, having been a year of some hardship and struggle, but some joy and the other side of all the suffering into light. What has asked something of you that you didn't expect? What has changed you in ways that you may not even have words for? The solstice does not require resolution. It merely asks for our presence. Would you turn to your neighbor and let them know that you're grateful that they are present right here this morning? I am so grateful for you. How we doing? Oh my goodness, the gratitude for presence. Woo! I could feel it up here. How about you? It was like, wow, thank you so much. Okay, so this Yule is the threshold, the place between what has been and what is becoming. This threshold is sacred because it invites us to have intention. Attention and intention are a powerful set of twins that move us forward in the most unique and remarkable way. Yes. Not just intended, but attention. Attention to the details of how we traverse this life, how we interact with one another, and how we let the light within us shine. And in this time, in the darkest night, where now the days begin to grow longer, subtly, let your light shine too. This is not the kind of threshold that it has pressure or performance, but it is a kind that is rooted in our love and rooted in our truth. Authenticity. One of the highest frequencies of the fifth dimensional energy field is to be your authentic self, even when it's hard. I think 2006 is a year to test drive that one, see how that feels, right? At this time of the year, we're often encouraged to rush towards a goal, to do some resolutions and plans for becoming a better version of ourselves. But the wisdom of the solstice has a different approach. Instead of saying, what should I do next? It asks us, what is quietly forming within you? What idea, what feeling, what direction, what truth still might be fragile, still needing protection, perhaps rather than exposure at this point, but longing to be birthed nonetheless.
At Yule, we plant intentions the way nature plants seeds, gently, patiently, without urgency. We trust that the light will grow them when the time is right. Winter solstice reminds us that light is never lost. It is only resting. Even in the longest night, the return has already begun. This is not just about the story of Earth, it's the story of us. There are times in our life when clarity fades, when momentum slows, when we feel uncertain or perhaps even undone. Yule assures us that these moments are not failures. They're part of the cycle. They're invitations into a deeper rhythm. As we honor this turning of the year, we are invited to honor our own cycles as well. We honor the times of growth and the times of retreat, the seasons of visibility and the seasons of quiet preparation. Nothing in nature blooms all year long. And in this moment, we honor the darkness. We honor the pause. We honor the light that is already on its way within the world and within each of us.
And so it is. So what William and I planned for you is to do a devotional, little bit of a ceremony here today. So let us see if we can do this together without too much trouble.
Slow is smooth,
So
smooth is fast.
smooth. And now we lift. What were we thinking, William?
We know exactly what we're doing.
Okay, I so trust you. Okay, wait, there's more.
If you order now, you get a free set of Ginsu steak knives.
All right, you have a lighter, I have a lighter, and I want it to work. We light this center candle for each and every one of you, feeling into the celebration of this Yule time, this Yule tide, this solstice. And so we have, can we put this here, share it together? So we enter now into this moment of shared stillness, and as the candles are being lit, there is a turning toward intention, reflection, and devotion. And when they are all lit, we honor this quiet work of this season. The 7 devotions.
Devotion to the dark. We devote ourselves to honoring the darkness that allows us to rest, reflection, and allows us to renew.
Okay.
Aho.
Devotion to the body. We devote ourselves to listening to the wisdom of our bodies and to the natural rhythm of it.
A devotion to rest. We devote ourselves to rest as necessary, as a sacred part of our life to be honored.
Devotion to truth. We devote ourselves to honesty with ourselves and with what this season is revealing.
A devotion to the seed. We devote ourselves to what is quietly forming, even if it is not yet clear.
A devotion to love. We devote ourselves to what, that's the seed. Devotion to love. We devote ourselves to the compassion and the love of ourselves and for another and for this journey.
A devotion to the return of light. We devote ourselves to the light that returns in its own time, steadily, faithfully, certainly.
And so it is.
And so it is. As this flame burns, may it remind us that even the longest night turns toward morning. May we leave honoring our own pace, trusting the wisdom of the season, and carrying the quiet promise of renewal within us. May the darkness bless you, may the light find you, and may you move gently into what comes next. And so it is.
And so it is.